Well, hello and welcome back to my little series on setting up a craft business or making a bit of money out of your hobby. And today I thought I'd talk a little bit about money. Now, I've popped more about all of this in the guide that I've written that goes along with this series, and that's available on my website. And I'll pop a link down in the description below so that you can click on it and go to my website. There's also a budgeting pro forma in the guide which could be helpful for you. But yeah, what I wanted to think about here, well, I should just add, all the sale proceeds go to help people with bone marrow cancer, MDS, patient support charity. So please do take a look at the guide and try and support if you can. But yeah, what I want to talk about was planning your money really a bit, so having simple budget at the outset. Now I know that sounds a bit like off-putting. I think a lot of people who do craft, and I am generalizing here obviously, aren't terribly keen on all the sort of finances and having to sort all that side out, and I perfectly understand that. You don't have to make things complicated, and I think that is the key. So budget wise, it does help to draw up a simple 1 year ahead. I wouldn't suggest any more when you're starting out because it's very difficult to know how things will go, but have a 1 year ahead pro forma looking at what you plan to spend on materials, what you plan to spend on kit, be it kilns or whatever else, looms, whatever kits you need, and also then to think about and scratch your head about all the overhead costs. And I say that with a sort of bit of a sort of lull in my voice because overheads are killers of fledgling businesses. It's all the things you don't think about. So just to run off a few, it's bank charges, transaction charges, your website fees, your insurance, electricity, phone, you know, I could go on. Write them all down. I've put them on a pro forma in the guide to give you a bit of a clue as well, but have a think about all those overheads and then try and make like a sales target for your year, bearing in mind you'll probably make more sales around Christmas time, depending of course on what you make and what sort of markets you're going for. But try and have just a simple plan for your year. Don't be overly ambitious, keep it simple, high level. And then the other thing that's worth doing in doing that plan obviously is allocating out your money that you have available. I would caution against borrowing money. It's so easy to get into debt and get into difficulty. You're far better, I think, growing a little craft business organically. As you sell a few things, try and keep the money and reinvest it in your little business and develop it that way, because if you want to, when you get more experience down the line, you can go, you know, in a lot deeper. But I would certainly say at the outset, start it off small. And you could say this is a cautious type approach, and maybe I'm a cautious sort of person, but I would say when you don't know exactly what you're doing and it's all a bit new, you may well find you want to change tack quite a bit. So it's worthwhile keeping your options very open and very loose at the outset. So try and start off small, reinvest what money you make and grow organically. You'll find at the end of a year, if you've done, you know, hopefully reasonably well, you'll have a fair little bit to help you into the next year and then the next year, and by then you'll probably be doing quite nicely. So yeah, I would caution against borrowing. Borrowing is expensive. I think you can invest for the sake of it, make bad decisions and come to regret it. Unless you have lots of experience from somewhere else you can plough in. I'd be cautious. Accounts is something that I think puts a lot of people off with running a small business, and you don't have to be sort of super duper at figures. Again, keep it simple. And what I'd suggest you do in your first year at least is to have something like a simple spreadsheet where you record all your sales. So you have, for each item that you sell, you have a docket, a bit of paper which says what it was, how much money you got and who it went to, like a sales receipt basically. Keep those in a file and number them. Transfer the numbers onto a spreadsheet, keep a record of your total sales as you go along. Tot up your lines and you'll know your total sales. Ditto, if you spend any money in your business, keep a record of that as well on the same spreadsheet. So you can have one column for sales, another column, if you like, for expenditure on your business. And like that, each month you can take a look at it and think, okay, you know, I've sold more than I've spent, or vice versa. You get a sort of position as to how you're doing and where you're going. And don't worry too much month by month. It's worth doing it, but obviously it's after the first year that it really matters. You want to start seeing a bit of profit coming through. But keep it simple to start with. Some people just do that and nothing more. Some people go to the next step and add in things like depreciation. Now, without getting sort of overly complicated in accountancy speak, depreciation takes account of those things you use in your business which have a life of more than 1 year. So just as an example, if you buy, I'll say a blacksmith's setup, so you've bought an anvil and a forge, what you might decide to do is to say, right, they have a life of, and decide to have perhaps a useful life of 10 years. What you would then do is, and let's just say that they cost 5,000, you then know if you portion that over the 10-year period, it's $500, £500 or whatever it is a year is the cost of using that asset in your business. Your straight line depreciation, you're saying each year it drops in value by the same amount, which isn't probably completely accurate, but it's a reasonable proxy. And you can then reflect the use of that asset in your business. So it's worth, I think, having a little depreciation schedule for any major bits of equipment if you're using, you know, 3 or 4 quite big items in your business. You can then, if you want to, include depreciation in all your accounts. There are some very good basic books on accounts and budgets for small businesses. I mentioned them in my guide, a particular one, but if you go onto Amazon you'll find there's some good guidebooks on all of this. And if in doubt, yes, do seek some professional advice. But I think if you keep some accurate records, read a couple of, as I say, simple books off of Amazon on starting a business, where you'll get more detail on all this sort of thing and explained in a very accessible way, you should be on the right sorts of lines. The final thing I just wanted to mention on this section was insurance. I think it's like quaking tremor. You may well find that if you have household insurance, it's not covering your business. So it's not covering your things you use in your business, and it's not covering, more importantly, your liability to the public. So if you're running a craft fair, they may well ask for your public liability insurance certificate, and then if someone, your stand, you know, falls down and hurts someone, you're covered. And ditto, dare I say it, product liability. If one of your product that you make fails and causes a problem, you don't want to be sued, so it's worth having some product liability insurance. I mention a bit more about this in the guide, but essentially you can find, if you look around, some fairly specific insurance policies aimed at small craftspeople. And I'll also talk about this in the next session when I talk about a limited company. But do have a little look into your insurance situation. It's better to be knowing, you know, where you're treading than not with that sort of thing. So anyway, hope all of that helps as a little bit of an introduction to finance. It is a bit of a sort of techie, complicated area, but my overriding message would be to say, you know, try and keep it all simple, keep an accurate record of anything you buy, anything you sell, and do keep a simple set of accounts, and do look into insurance. Okay, hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much then. Bye bye.